Hello and welcome to my Stitch Circle Show Challenge and welcome to week 38. It's quite hard to believe that we already are going to make week 38 today. I think this year has flown by because you have to do something every week and then time goes so quick, I think, and it is quite incredible. But if you just have hit this video and you're thinking about what on earth is she talking about, Stitch Circle Show Challenge, what is that? Below here in the description box under the little word more, you can find the playlist for this project, find week 1, and there I will tell you everything about what this project is about and what the Dogma Rules is about. There's also a link to how you can sew a cover together for a book. Not all this sewing, but the cover itself, sew such a cover together. There's a link for that, and there's also a link for a private Facebook group. You can apply for membership if you want to do the challenge. Don't apply if you don't want to do the challenge. It is only for members who will participate. Remember to breathe. Sorry I have to say this every time, but you never know who just hits your video. But to introduce myself and me, I'm the host here for this challenge. My name is Lisbeth, and I'm a Danish abstract mixed media artist who likes to do all sorts of things. And you can look at the playlist and perhaps find other things that interest you. Often we women who are sewing also like to do other things, or vice versa. But let us see what I have come up with for this week's challenge. My book here is quite chunky already, and I have 2 signatures in here. You can slide them in like an envelope. So I will just remove the first signature here, and when I'm done and I perhaps figure out my cover here is too small, I will make another cover. For now it will be there. But I'm working in the second signature right now, and this is where I left you last week. And here's a little flip back here. And I don't know how you have it, but often I have it if I have been working a lot in specific colors, like this bluish colors, and there has been a lot of that here in this challenge here. Or if I've been doing something in a specific color for a while, I feel the urge to do the opposite or choose a quite other color scheme, and that is what will be happening today. So I am ready here. My spread here is ready for what I will come up with today, and I will just remove it. So here we go. The first rule is find a piece of, and I can go a little in here now. Find a piece of fabric in orange or golden colors, and mine has a little pinkish thing here on, and my fabric is again from my friend who is give me all her leftover smaller pieces of fabric. For me it's bigger pieces, but for her it is smaller pieces. And this is something I think she has ice dyed it. It is a quite flimsy fabric, so I will invisible baste it down in a sec. But color-wise something like that. And rule number 2, sew only the blanket stitch wheel or the buttonhole stitch wheel. This stitch goes by several names, and in Danish we call them Møllehjul, or we also can call them tungestingshjul are they also called in Danish. And I want you to play with the stitch. I don't want you to make them all round. Sometimes you can make a half a circle or a quarter of a circle or 3/4 of the circle of or of the wheel. So, and you can make as many as you like, as small as big as you like, and place them anywhere you like on your fabric. If you want to trace a circle and do them inside there, you can do that, or you can just do them on your fabric. That is up to you. But play with the stitch so you get quarters and halves and the whole one and 3/4 of them. Yeah, play with that. And for thread, find a thread you think look nice to your fabric. And since I have some pinkish patterns thing there, I have chosen these colors here, quite darker, and I don't know if I will change color or if I will only go for one of them. I don't know that yet. But one thing you could think, that there is this way you can make it a whole, a quarter, a half, or 3/4. That is 4 different ways. Then you perhaps could have 4 different threads colors here and make each of the 4 wheels in one, and in one of the 4 colors each. If you, I hope you can understand what I'm meaning. That is an option you can do. You can also choose to make them all the same color. That is up to you. But find a color you think look nice to your fabric. Yeah, that is the 3 rules for this week 38, and they are quite simple rules, I think. But before I start my buttonhole reels or my blanket stitch reels, I have taken a piece of an old sheet or something to invisible baste under this fabric, because it is a very thin fabric, and if you're sewing in a hoop, it perhaps doesn't matter, but I very seldom sew in a hoop, and I like to have something more sturdy to hold on to, but that's just me. You don't have to do this if you don't like to do it. So I have just taken some machine sewing thread in an orange color that I think fits my fabric. And many of you already know the invisible basting, but you come up and then you go back to a couple of threads and go forward about 1 centimeter. It is a little back stitch, you can say, and you make the tiniest small stitches, and they are nearly to be seen. And if you're doing it now, I'm only doing it around the edges here, but if I was basting a bigger piece down, I would probably do something over these stitches afterwards, and then they would be impossible to see. So I think it is a very, very nice way to piece 2 pieces of fabric together. I can't remember what it's. I know tailors are also using this stitch here when they are doing the insides of coats and skirts and so on. I can't remember what it's called right now. It is something with P, with the letter P. But I will go all the way around and be back. So now it is spaced down, and you can see all the long stitches here on the back. So I think I have decided I want to do my stitches inside a circle. So I will just take this punch kui thing, or you can use it a tin plate like this, or you can take a plate or something from your kitchen or anything. You can trace a circle here, and I will just, I think I will go with the inside here. There. And then I will Yeah, you can see it's just a set as this here. I bought it in our local supermarket and it didn't cost very much. But I have chosen this color thread here for a start, and then I will just do a round of small running stitches here so I can see where I am supposed to be inside the circle. But you probably all know the running stitch, and if you can't remember, that was a joke. But look at week 2, I think we made double running stitches there, and you can just make the single running stitch here. It is a little there, and then I can erase this afterwards. I know some of you are using a friction pen of some kind that disappears when you iron it, or it disappears by itself. And I know I have a pink one somewhere here in my house, but I will just go with this here. But I will stitch that and be back. And you can see before you come to where you started, eyeball it so you don't end up with a very small stitch or a very long stitch, so you can make it so it looks nice. So here you can't see where I started and where I ended, and I will just bury my thread here between the 2 layers. That is all I'm going to do now. There. And I don't think I will cut it off, because I think I can start up here with my first buttonhole wheel, or my blanket stitch wheel. It is depending a little on in which books you look what it's called. But I can show you here how it's done, and I will start making a whole one, and a one that is all the way around. And most of you, if you haven't done this before, you will think, oh, I shall come up in the middle, but in fact you don't. You come out in the outer ring, and what is it called? I learned it here last week, or was it the week before? What that was called. Let me see in my papers, because I wrote it down. Circumference, it is called. You come up in the circumference of your circle here. And now you decide this is going to be the middle here. And then you come up not far from there, and then you go into the loop like this. And now is the tricky part is to make this round, or as round as you can. And I don't want to be mean or something, but this is for you, Carol. And you know which Carol I mean. You can trace your circles so you make them totally round and neat. So you can do that by tracing a small circle. I could have done that here, and I think I can do it still. I can just take this one out, and then I can say this one, I think this one fits, and about there. Then you can trace here if you want to. I never do that, I just eyeball it, but you can do this. And you do the same all the way around. Come up here in the circumference, go down in the middle again, and that would be quite crowded in the middle. As longer time you, the more that you get around. Down in the middle, oops, let me be in frame. the circumference here. And the yard is not to drag too much on your thread and not make it too sloppy, so it dangles. And if you pull too much, you will also, the circle will curl together or curl up. Your fabric has to nice, flat and neat there. And I am using my mercerized cotton thread as I always do when I'm, not always, but most of the time when I'm doing this kind of stitching here. And it isn't some special yarn I should use for, it could be many different things, but normally I sew with this yarn here. And here. Down in the middle, or up there in the, and down in the middle again. And again, you have to eyeball it and see how many stitches do you think you can take. And now I do the last stitch, so I go down in the hole, and then I come up here where I started in that hole and close my circle. And then I again go down, but I go down inside here, but nearly in the same place here, because then I have closed my ring. And there you have the nicest little wheel. So I think I will see if I can make just a half one here. So you do exactly the same. You come up in the, now I have to think. I want my curve to be that way, so I will come up here, I think, there. And this will be my middle, so I will come up here. And you can see you are missing this stitch there, but I will do this as the last thing I do to close my half circle. There. And there. There. And perhaps this would be the last stitch here in, and now you can see I have half a circle here. And I just go down there. But I will also just come up in the hole here in the middle and make the last stitch there, so it looks nice there. So now you only have half a circle, and you can make a quarter of a circle, or you can make 3/4 of a circle. And I will do all these different ones here on my piece, but you can see them here. So I will sew a little more, and then I can show it to you. So now I have been sewing all the way around, half ones, 3/4 of ones, and 1/4 of ones. And I think that looks very nice. And I have made a bigger one there, and they are also a little different in sizes. And if I should say something, there is a limit to how big you can make them. Not physically you can do them, but it is, if this gets too long, they can be a little more, it is nice to get them to lie flat. If the spokes are too long, you can say. So I also have to change colors, so I will use all 3 colors and just sew with 1 thread, and when it runs out I will take the next color and so on. So I think I will sew a bigger one up here also, and I will sew a little more. But it is quite nice, a quite nice stitch to sew, and I have my needle here is a pointy one, but I sew so much in paper, so it is quite dull, so I have a little trouble coming up and down here in the hole in the middle, but I think I managed to do it, and so far so good, and I think it looks fine, and I will continue. So this is a lot of buttonhole wheels or blanket stitch wheels here, and you can keep on adding because you think, oh, there's a little space and there's a little space, but sometimes you have to stop. But I think I will make a quarter of one there and perhaps one there. So let me see here. Just come up here. That is always a little difficult to make them a quarter. Perhaps it would be easier if I draw a quarter of a circle. Yeah, I think I will just go for 3 stitches here and say that is a quarter. There, and come up in the middle and go down there. Yeah, perhaps, yeah, that's a little more than a quarter, but I don't think that matters. And I will just bury my thread here in the space between the 2 layers there. But you can keep on here, and now I think, oh, I also need one there, but yeah, I will see how many more I will make. If you wonder how on earth I get all these ideas for what we can do here, there are, of course, many ways you can get ideas, but one of them is to look at a specific stitch and see what you can do with that stitch. And most of you probably know a normal buttonhole wheel stitch, but who thought of making them only as a quarter or 3/4 or a half and put them in the same? I haven't seen anybody else do that, but I know I have done it before, and I can show you exactly what it is I have been doing. I have this little book here, and it is a book of paper, and I have jelly printed the paper myself. It is not paper, it is heavy cardstock. And then I have embroidered exactly this stitch here on all the pages. And you can see they are off-centered here. You could also have off-centered them here, but I haven't asked you to do that, and I don't ask you to do that here. I ask you to center them, but there it is centered and there it is off-centered, and that gives another look. And there's missing a little part and off-centered again, and a little space, skip some stitches there and there. And there I have longer between the spokes. There is only a half one, and there is one off-centered again. And there are 3 spaces missing. And there's a partial part of a circle. There I have made them like I have made them close, 2 of them of the spokes here, and here is missing 2 bigger parts. Here's only a quarter, and here is 3/4, and here I have also just played with a stitch. It's a nice little book, to look at and get inspiration by. And it is quite funny. It's nearly the same color schemes as this one here is, but of course it's my favorite color, so not so perhaps strange that I use this. But this was just a little book I could show you where some of my inspiration can come from. And when I made that book, I know I was thinking, how much can I get out of this stitch and they would look different. And that is often a good way to take a stitch and see what all kinds of things you can do with them. If you shorten them or widen them or make them double or make them reverse, or to make them in thick yarns or thin yarns, or develop a stitch. I see how much you can squeeze also out of one stitch. That is experimentation. But I will see if I will make a little more stitches, but else I will take some close-ups at the end of the video. So done, and I couldn't help myself, so I made some small ones there. But now I think I have to stop. So I will have it this way in my book, so I will just turn it around and find my double-sided tape. And because I always, sorry for the noise, because I always struggle with this tape, several people has told me of different ways to remove it or do something about it. And one of them was to squeeze it like, I think this is what she meant, but I'm not sure. So you can get your fingers in here, or perhaps she meant it this way. I'm not sure. Sometimes, even though I understand most of what people are writing to me, or I can read it and not always understand it, but I don't think I quite. Sometimes I'm one who has to look at people doing something and then I can do it. It is not always by reading it I can figure out what it is people are meaning. There are many ways to learn. Some of us has to get it in through our eyes and ears, and some are better at reading it, but we are all different. And that's why there are many ways. I will get this off and find my book. I don't want you to laugh at me. Of course it came up at once I shut the camera down, but I will just put it in here like this, and I can squeeze it a little down with my fingers here. And now it is sitting nicely in my book. That is, no surprise. My favorite color schemes, these rusty colors here. But that was one way of interpreting this blanket stitch or buttonhole stitch wheel. I will take some close-ups at the end of the video. So done and dusted and sitting there. I hope you have liked this week's challenge, and I'm really looking forward to see a lot of nice embroideries in the group, the Facebook group, of these stitches here. And what else do I want to say? I hope you have learned a little and you have at least got some tips and tricks or inspiration out of this video here. That is the goal of this here. And next week I will come up with something else, and I know I want to do something in this color-wise so I get a nice spread. So already now you can start thinking about what you perhaps could put here beside you if you put your things in a book. But as I have said many times before, you don't need to have a book. You can put your pieces in a box. You can buy a sketchbook and put them in. You can sew them all onto a big old sheet. You can make a scroll or whatever ideas you can come up with. And when this year is done, you will have a massive small samples here or small Dogma Rules embroideries to look at and to be inspired by. And I really hope you will use them as some kind of, not a stitch book, because there will of course be many different stitches in, but when you know the rules for the specific weeks, you can perhaps say, I will take something that was in week 10 and mix it with something that was in week 22 and see what you can. And it is just weeks I mentioned. I don't remember what these weeks were about, but you can mix them and come up with something new. This is meant for. Many times people don't know I'm bored. What do I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. Set some simple rules for yourself and then you're going. And as soon as you get going, it is always easier to build more upon, take something away you don't like, or work further on it. That is up to you. That is the way to use this here, because there isn't a police coming after you if you don't follow the rules you have set for yourself. It's only you who perhaps know the rules. But it is a way to get started and a way to come up with new ideas, mixing these different ideas. And that is what this is meant for. Now, enough of me, blah, blah, blah. I will just say, if you have liked what you have been seeing here, please give my video a thumbs up and please consider subscribing my little Danish channel. That would be very helpful of you and I would appreciate it very much. And there also is a notification bell somewhere you can hit. But these videos are coming up Danish time at 12 o'clock noon. Probably another time by you, but every Thursday. And the challenge here is going on for the rest of the year, so there will be at least 52 weeks here we will have made. And when this year is over, I will see if I want to continue in another way. I don't think I would continue every week because all my life is about this at the moment. So I don't think that. But else I will say, please take care and be creative, and especially take care of each other and be nice to each other in these crazy times we're living in right now. Behave and be nice to each other. Bye for now.